A new study on firearms in the United States shows that half of all guns in the US are owned by just 3% of the population. And that's usually an average of 17 guns per person that does own a firearm. Now, what it also shows is that firearm ownership among men is decreasing, while firearm ownership among women is actually on the increase. Now, the survey showed that there was 70 million guns in 1994. Now, today, there are 265 million guns in the US. That's getting pretty close to one gun per person. It's still off by about 60 some odd million, but that's a huge increase since 1994. Now, the people who identify as gun owners the demographics have shifted significantly. Men who say they own guns was about 42% back in 94, down to 32% now. Women who said that they owned guns back in 94 was only about 9%. Today, that number is now 12%. So the demographics in gun ownership are changing just a little bit. More and more women are actually becoming interested in owning firearms, and the number of men seems to be decreasing as a percentage of the population. Now, overall, gun ownership has actually declined. Back in 94, it was only 25% of the population who said they owned guns. Now, it's 22%. So the percentage of people who want to own guns is actually decreasing. Less people are actually wanting to have them. Now, the demographic that's most likely to have guns is white male conservatives that live in rural areas. But here's some more specific information. 30% of conservatives say they were gun owners compared to just 19% of moderates and 14% of liberals. The strongest predictor of ownership was military service, with 44% of veterans saying that they owned a gun. 25% of white and multiracial Americans said they owned a gun, compared to just 16% of Hispanics and 14% of African Americans. Now, the study shows that the biggest seller for firearms is fear. People being afraid of various things, an overreaching government, ethnic minorities, immigration. Still, that fear is the number one seller of firearms. Of course, I believe that this is just a little bit skewed, as it doesn't take into account whether or not a fear is legitimate. Some people would argue that whether or not the government is actually becoming totalitarian, and that would be either yes or no. So I think it's really unfair to just reduce it purely to fear, because I think you need to be able to tell whether that fear is justified or not. And still, one of the biggest problems regarding firearm ownership is suicides. About 20,000 of America's more than 30,000 gun deaths. So, 2/3 are suicides. So it still shows that the vast majority, 2/3 of the gun deaths in America are actually suicides. It shows that guns are a number one way chosen to commit suicide, which seems fairly obvious because it's a very quick, easy way to do it with a very low failure rate. But this is just some of the new information that's come out about gun ownership in the United States, because this is a big topic up for discussion because of recent shootings and things like that. But I thought it was important to put that information out there. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.